But of course, there is someone in the middle of all this who must know all of this very well. And her name is Jill Biden. And she was with this person day and night. She knew all the family dynamics. And yet she became adamant that he should run, and then was among the fiercest defenders of him, the fiercest denialists, the person who went out there and explicitly, quite obviously lied to the press and to the public about who this guy was and how well he was functioning. To what extent is she actually the most responsible person for this catastrophe?
Well, certainly a lot of people in the White House, in the Biden White House, believe that she is the most responsible. Even people that love Joe Biden, think he was a great president, think he was a great man, or is a great man. Hold a lot of anger toward her because they, and some people think it's letting him off the hook. But there's this feeling that there was really only one person that was seeing him all the time, and that could have had the honest, frank conversation. And in fact, she was driving the train the other way,
right?
And was and created through her and her top aide was creating a culture in which any sort of dissent was seen as disloyalty. And we have a quote, I think, near the very end of the book that talks about the sort of anger toward her. Now, I think there are two things going on. I think one is that she was her first fierce defender of him, but even if she was not acknowledging in her own head that he was in decline, by the way that she acted, you could see that she intuitively knew he needed more help. And people saw it. She would introduce people more. You remember so-and-so. She would, jump in when he was struggling with a sentence and say, oh, finish those words. And that became increasingly common the further in the presidency that it went, and it was very conspicuous. And the other thing that people have said is that she fell in love with the life. One person sort of put it that she got Jackie O'd, that she did 3 Vogue covers in 4 years. That's as many as Michelle Obama did in 8 years. That she and like she and her top aide would frequently talk about the trips and different activities they would do in the second term. That's in the second term. And so I think it was the combination of those things.
The glamour of it.
Can I read?
Yes.
I just wanted to read from the book. There's this one thing that I keep thinking about. So there's a top Democrat who spends much of 2023, 2024 defending the president, somebody whose name you'd know, but he or she didn't want us to say who it was. And he kept on being told, he's fine, he's fine, he's fine. In the spring of 2024, this Democrat called top White House officials every day. I'm defending this guy. He told them, somebody tells me he's okay. Like, it doesn't look great. The press conferences don't look great. He was assured every time. Anita told me he was fine. Zients told me he was fine. Donilon goes, I promise he's okay. In 2024, after Biden withdrew from the race, this Democrat privately met with the first couple and saw the reality with his own eyes. Quote, he was not fine. She, the first lady, had to complete some of his thoughts. It was not fine. I got emotional leaving the White House because he was clearly not fucking fine. And I just think about that all the time when I think about Jill Biden, because I think she had to have known she was there finishing his sentences behind closed doors. And to a degree in front of the cameras on The View a few weeks ago, she was finishing his thoughts. And I'm sure it's incredibly painful to go through this as a spouse. But again, when you enter public life to be the president. Yeah.
She was putting her husband, whom she knew was not really up to it anymore. And in the end, she did. She publicly humiliated him.
Well, her argument would be he was the only one that could beat Trump.
Well, that was obviously ridiculous, and because he didn't. And also there were other reasons in 2020 for him to do well.
And also, he barely beat him in 2020.
Yeah, he did. He did. And I think without COVID, he wouldn't have beaten him.